Change for the better. Does that sound like a good idea? Yes, good. Well, I could have titled this message, Welcome Something New. I could have said, Remembering Who I Am. I was reminded this morning as I was walking to the car, there was this really cute dad, and he had one of his little kids in his arms, I don't know, about 1 year old, and then a little girl running next to him squealing, "Daddy, Daddy!" And she had on her little satin pink shoes, the big bow, and her joy was effervescent, and her happiness was just oozing out everywhere. And it reminded me that we're born happy and joyous with confidence. And I was taken back to kindergarten days when the little 5-year-olds would be sitting there and I'd say, well, who wants to do this? And maybe one hand didn't go up, but all the others would go, I do. Because when you're little, you know who you are. You're filled with confidence and creativity and curiosity. And then somewhere along the line, our wings get clipped. We're trained to be smaller versions of ourselves. You know what I mean? But the good thing is, because they're spiritual wings, they don't really get clipped. They get folded back in because we just cover those wings of possibility and the perfection and the potential we have. We cover those wings with limiting thoughts and feelings that get stuffed down into our subconscious, and that creates patterns of thought which create our experience. But the beautiful thing is, we're the architects of our life, and we can reconstruct and recreate those patterns of thought to go back into those patterns of creativity, curiosity, potential. Rumi, the 13th century mystic poet that I kind of like, said, "You were born with wings. You're not meant to crawl. So don't." We have to decide how we want to show up in life, if we want to be the best next version of ourselves. You know, our soul is on an endless pathway of expansion, of evolution. We're growing all the time. And I don't know where in the world we pick up the thought that we're not supposed to make mistakes, because mistakes are how we... Right. See, we know it. Are we living it with that confidence? There's some place, you know, we get wounded in life. This life can be tough. And I think we've chosen a kind of interesting space to be in the world. You know, in this process of evolution, which happens to everything, in this process of evolution, there's often a time when paradigms are shifting, where there's an in-between stage. A stage, you might call it the seed that's growing in the darkness of the soil, or a child that's in the womb being born, and we don't know quite what's yet to come. We know there's something good. We planted something, but we aren't quite sure what it's going to be. So that's kind of where we are right now. There's a shift right now in the paradigm. Can you feel it? I think we can all feel that shift, and it's kind of uncomfortable, and it's kind of like, well, what's coming next? And it's a time we're here because we know we need to be the next yet best version of ourselves. We've got to do what it takes to be the architect of a new thought, a new idea. I was reminded of something I used to read all the time, especially when the center first started. It was a Hopi prophecy about the time is now. Did you remember that one? The time is now, and there's a river going very fast, and some of us will be afraid and try to cling on to the shore, and then we'll get torn apart and really suffer. But the river has a destination. There's a place it is going, even if we can't see it. There's a place we're going and growing into, something really wonderful that wants to emerge as our life, as the life of the world right now. We have to trust the process. And the elders say, let go of the shore. Swim into the middle of the river. Hold your head up high and keep your eyes wide open. And then look around to see who's with you. And celebrate and be joyful. Be joyful and celebrate. This is a time to banish the word struggle from your vocabulary and to do everything in a sacred manner. That's what the Hopis called for this time, because their wisdom elders, their shamans, knew that this was going to be a time where we needed to build our courage, to stretch our wings, to be the architects of new patterns of thought in our life. You know what I mean? New ideas. Ignorance, we can pretend to be ignorant. We can pretend. There's so much potential in us. Oh my goodness, there's so much potential. We only use, even the smartest, most brilliant beings on the planet only use a small portion of their capacity. We have such a capacity to do good things, all of us, in different ways, in very different ways. It doesn't matter if you're a scholar or a server or a creator or a teacher. Doesn't matter. We all have potential to give. But we have to realize that ignorance is God's prison. Ignorance, not being willing to learn or see yourself or awaken, that's prison to us when our minds are shut in old ways of thinking. And this isn't something new. In the Bible, in Paul's letter to the Ephesians, he said, you were taught to put away your former life, your old self, the part of you that doesn't work so good anymore, the part of you that's not being in alignment with what's possible, the part of you that wants to struggle or desires everything in the physical world to make you happy instead of remembering that new life comes from the inside out. That's what we're supposed to do. He goes on to say, well, that part of you is corrupt and deluded by its lusts, yada, yada, yada. But be renewed. I know some of you want to go there. That's why I just jumped right over it. Jumped right over that. We said we're not going there right now. And be renewed in the spirit of your minds and clothe yourself and be clothed in your new self, which is in the image and likeness of God. Because part of this transformation process that we're in is recognizing that we have two consciousness. We have a human consciousness and a divine consciousness. And the mystics teach us that our human consciousness is connected with time and conditions. And we learn from those, and they're not bad and not wrong, but that's what that's what our human self is connected to those. But our divine self, our upper self, is connected and merged with God, with good, with possibility. And we need to bring the two together, heaven and earth, right here. Bring the two together. And that's what our job is. Our job is to be aware of ourselves so we can look at ourselves and see, ooh, that's where I'm holding back from my good. Those are old patterns that don't work, and where we're ready for something new. Ernest Holmes says there's three basic ideas that we need. Three things, just three, that's all, that can really make permanent change in our life. Things that if we remember when we hit those roadblocks or we can't see our way or we feel we're drowning in the darkness, that we can remember, oh yes, this is a spiritual world. This is a spiritual life. This is spiritual. There's really only one true reality that even though I can't see it with my physical eye, it's God, it's love, it's goodness. That's the only real reality there is. The Creator and all that is created. That's the one truth. This is a spiritual life. This is spiritual. Just if we can just put our thoughts there. It's just like in our 5-step prayer we do. God is all there is. If we can just keep repeating that. And then the second truth that he says is to recognize that in that truth, what we know is God is love and God is law. There's a law. It's like the law of gravity, but this is the spiritual laws of law of correspondence, law of cause and effects, the law of reciprocity, the spiritual laws that are impersonal, totally accurate, and mechanical. They're there for everybody. No one can be impervious to the law. The law is there for all of us to use in good ways or tough ways. So if we recognize that this is a spiritual life, that there is a law, the law of good, but the law of God, there is the law, and that we are an individualized expression We're an individualized expression of goodness, and it's there for us to use. If we can remember that and hold on to that and know that's here for us. So I'm going to ask you, where do you feel in your life that you are blocking that flow of good? Because I mentioned in my Friday inspiration that we're inlets of Spirit. We're made in the image and likeness of Spirit, of love, of goodness, of joy. It's all in there, life, creativity, all of that. But we have to be conscious outlets, because really the best thing we can ask in our life is not, God, I want this, serve me, but to say, how can I serve life? How can I serve God? Then we're in the flow. But we have to be conscious outlets of Spirit. And what gets in the way between our inlet and our outlet, we have free will. Do you know what that is? We get to make our own choices. We get to decide. It means we get to look at our life and say, is my life constructive? I want you to answer these, but you don't have to say it out loud. Is my life on purpose? Is my life life-giving or life-sucking? And is the world a better place because I'm in it? And I would say yes, but so much of it, we've trained ourselves to think less of ourselves. You know, if you were little and somebody told you you weren't smart enough, you weren't good enough, you weren't pretty enough, you weren't enough, that's not the truth. That's just a lid on all of that potential, and we can take it off. But we have to start having new patterns of thought that say, I am enough. We have to start skipping down the driveway in our little pink satin shoes with the bows on them, if you have them. I don't either, but it would be cute, we could imagine. We have to start living as if we're already expanded, living as if we're already there, living from the inside out and creating something new right here and right now. You know, when we do create those patterns of thought, it was Wayne Dyer, and that was probably Ernest Holmes before that, and who knows before that, who says when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And so it's about really choosing to look for the good that's present in everything. We know, we profess all the time, the truth we know is that life is good, God is good. And if God is all there is, then everything in life must be good, even though we don't see it that way. And in order to change those thought patterns, we want to turn our wounds into wisdom. So if you think of a wound in your life, how do we turn a wound into wisdom? Well, again, that little poet I like so much says, don't shift your gaze. Look at the bandage space. Look at the place that hurts. Look at the place you really don't want to see, because in that wound is where the light comes through, where the light enters you. And if you think about it, we get cut or scratched or hurt. There's an innate wisdom in us that knows how to heal. Isn't there? An innate wisdom that knows what to do. The nature automatically knows how to realign itself. Nature knows how to get back in balance. We have to trust God, trust nature, that there's good happening now. We have to consciously cultivate our faith in something greater. Oh, I know there is something more. Oh, that's right. There's something more right now going on. I read a little quote that said, take an axe to your prison walls. You know what they are. They're the old thoughts of not being good enough, not being strong enough, not being creative enough, not being smart enough. Take an axe to those. Escape and become the sky. I was sitting with Kirk and Deanna and Brooke this week, and we were talking about things. We have a little book called If, and we open it up and ask some questions. And it was the one that came up was, what's the biggest limitation you felt in your life? And I think I was taught really, really young that I wasn't smart enough. And that was something I've carried a long time, and I see it rearing its ugly head now and again, oh, you're not smart enough, you can't do that. And I'm thinking, and so my daughter said, all right, Mom, I hear that. So tell me, where have you been smart? I mean, leave it to your kids to tell you. And I thought, and she goes, is that enough for you? And I'm like, yeah, it really is. That's really good. We just had to repattern our thinking so we think about what's good about us. Who would want to be so smart we're smarter than everybody else? And we wouldn't leave other places for other people to shine, would we? So we have to own our goodness, our possibility right now, and watch other people in this journey with us. So I'm going to ask you to reconstruct something right now for yourself. I just shared. Okay, it's not so easy to share sometimes. But I did, because we're all in this together, and there's something about each one of us, I know, that doesn't feel quite as good as we want it to be. So just close your eyes for a second. And I'm going to invite you in this beautiful, unlimited world of potential, in this beautiful, beautiful world where we can grow and expand and, turn our wounds into wisdom. And instead of making our past make us bitter, it can make us better. And so I want you to just imagine your wings, whatever they look like, are just growing and expanding. And you realize that exactly as you are is perfect. That we can really hone into the goodness that we are in this moment. So what old thought about yourself, because really the only way to change the world or life is to change us. What thought could you have about you that you could turn from a wound into wisdom? Where you could say, I'm not this, into, I am this. I am made in the image and likeness of love. I am beautiful. I am magnificent. I'm filled with potential. Where you could take any confusion inside of you and turn it into peace and clarity with a simple thought of knowing. Be an inlet and an outlet of good, an inlet and an outlet of love. If we could just take the knowing that right where we are is right where we're supposed to be, that right in this moment we have every single thing we need. There's not anything right now that's lacking except our thoughts about it. And I'm going to invite you, when you open your eyes, to choose to do exactly what the Hopi elders said. To be filled with courage and to look around and to celebrate life. And to know right here where we are is perfect. It's good enough. We are exactly where we should be, right in this place. I'm just going to ask you or invite you just for a moment to feel that inlet of spirit as it comes in through your crown chakra and just fills and activates. It doesn't have to even bring anything new, but activate what already is within you now, and allow that light that is the truth of your being to be activated, to heal any of those false thoughts, to create that new pattern of thinking for the mental equivalent of goodness, of possibility. And to know that we are here to shine, to share, to love, and simply plant in that beautiful mind and body and heart of yours by just saying, the world is a better place because I'm in it. The world is a better place because I'm in it. The world is a better place because I'm in it. And will you repeat that with me? The world is a better place because I'm in it. And if you'll open your eyes, take a nice deep breath. As I said, breathe in peace and possibility and clarity. And just look at the person next to you, maybe on both sides of you, and just say, the world is a better place because you're in it. And you're in it. And you're in it. And you're in it. So your affirmation for this day, in whatever way you want to say it, but when you leave this center today in this community, The Bible says, behold, I make all things new. Well, we know every moment is a fresh starting place, so you're simply going to say, behold, I make all things new.
Behold, I make all things new.
And then you're going to say, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
You got it. Well, I bless and love each and every one of you. Thanks for being here today. God bless you all, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you.